Hello, coming to you today from Cedar Creek Falls in the Tambourine National Park in Queensland. This place is pretty spectacular. There's beautiful waterfalls, really nice, amazing rainforest. It's pretty sweaty down here. It was a bit of an impromptu. I was driving back from Brisbane today and just had a bit of a calling to go off-road, so found myself down at this place. I've never been before. I've always wanted to come down. The most disappointing thing, unfortunately, is there's so much rubbish here. Next time I come down here, I'm bringing a bag with me. I didn't bring anything with me. I can't carry all this stuff out. It's incredible just how much rubbish people have left here. It's so disappointing. So, a note to everybody, please don't throw away non-biodegradable things. Apple cores, bananas, little things like that, which, possibly animals can eat. But plastic bottles and cigarette packets and cigarette butts, there was a beautiful tree just up ahead, or up behind me, all dug out and just naturally hollowed, and somebody had used it as a bloody ashtray. It was horrible. Anyway, made me think about wishing I had a secret power to snap my fingers and have everybody who's thrown away non-biodegradable rubbish stick to them. But you can only hope, can't you? What I wanted to really come and talk today about was something that I get confronted with a lot in my line of work. And it's a topic of conversation that a few people have had with me, but everything's always sort of balanced. A strength of mine that somebody may really love is also a strength of mine which somebody might not love. But you get to that point in your life where you refuse to allow other people to control what you think, and you start to form your own opinions about things. And I think that's really beautiful, because it sort of leads into what I wanted to talk about today. And it's the changing face of what we think we know. We're in a time of history where, unlike before, we have access to so much information. Everything is at our fingertips. There's so much freely accessible and sometimes not so freely accessible information, but it's out there. And if you're willing to pay for it, you can get more. But in saying that, a lot of books are a phenomenal source for that, and research papers. But my time in academics really sort of changed me. I mean, as I suppose it would for everybody. I looked at my life in academics and just went, I don't think I can stay here doing this. It was pretty soul crushing. It was very regimented. And when I did a research master's, I started a research master's. It was so conforming. There was rules and regulations for what you can and can't do, and you had to test one theory. So one theory, one outcome. It's not how life works. It never works that way. We're a synergistic, holistic being. We're living in a synergistic and holistic universe, and one input does not equal one outcome. It's like the saying from Dr. John DeMartini: you'll never have a positive without a negative. You never have a north without a south. There's, while there's two, it's like continuation of, you can put one thing in, but there's always so much more that comes out of it. And that really confused me about research. There was specific and strict criteria for who could be allowed into my research. You had to fall within a certain age category, certain health status, a gender, and all sorts of other strict criteria, which got rid of and included people. And then that information was meant to be extrapolated out onto the population. That doesn't make sense to me. But in saying, that experience from coming out of that really taught me to look at things on a more individual level. And it sparked, an even bigger love for finding out different forms of information. We're only a product of the books the things we've read and the people we've learnt from. And, I think in a lifelong journey, we can continue to evolve that. And I think it's the mark of an evolved person to be willing to, when new information comes along, be willing to change, always remain in a level of plasticity, because we're learning so much more at such an incredible pace. And I think that's brilliant. We can, not saying that you need to read everything and believe it, use your instinct, use your intuition, use that sense within you that says, does this sound right to me in my lifestyle and where I am right now? If it does, add it to the rest of the knowledge that you've built. If it doesn't, either discard it or put it aside for a later time when you've gone through some growth and evolution, and you might be at a time where you're ready to look at that from fresh eyes, some more developed perspectives. But there's so many things in this world which we hold as truths, and most often they're not. They're theories. It's an idea that someone's had, and it's funny that we hold on to bad ideas longer than we should, and I find that across most of humanity. There's so many doctrines and dogmas in many areas of our existence that have been disproven, yet that information's not in the mainstream. So there's lots of people who really stick by somebody else's idea, and the more we know, the more we can evolve these theories. And I think that's brilliant. I mean, there's many things I've said in the past which I look back at now and no, I don't believe that anymore, or I don't hold that as truth, because now I have other information. And evolving my thought patterns is something that I find quite exciting. There are a lot of people that I know who like the familiar and like to be stuck in rigid thought patterns. So I can expect an outcome. I'm not going to get surprised by anything. You will always be surprised by something, because things will always change. That is one thing you can guarantee. Nothing will ever stay the same. And if you stubbornly refuse to move with it, it can really lead you to a place of pain and discomfort unnecessarily. Embrace the new and the challenging, and celebrate people and their ideas. You don't have to live by them. Live your life. Add bits and pieces which add value to your life. But do your thing the best way you know how, with little bits of learnings from everywhere. And it's like, unlike any time before, we're exposed to that level of information, and it's a pool of knowledge that we can draw from that is significant and growing. What we know now in so many areas of health, science, archaeology, I mean, in the last 2 to 5 years alone, in most areas of science, we've blown out what we thought we knew. And it has the capacity to change our story. And I think that's super exciting. But, we're all very unique in the way that we think about these things. And this topic's really big for me, because coming back to the original premise of my video, this is a question I get posed by some people. That is way too much information. I don't know what to do with it. And one of my most favourite sayings in the world is, everything is relative to the observer. Change the way you look at things, and the way you look at things changes. So, when you can take many perspectives on that. One perspective I like to take on that, and I find it as a strength for me in my character, is instead of looking at a situation and saying, oh my God, there's so much information that is overwhelming and I'm shutting down. I'm not taking any more in. I cannot physically process that. You look at it from a point of view, or I look at it from a point of view of saying, wow, there is so much information. I can start anywhere. There's so much opportunity and freedom of choice for me to look at something and integrate it into my life, into where it is right now and how that best fits. If it feels good, if your intuition and your gut instinct sort of goes, yeah, that's kind of nice. I like that theory. I like the possibility of where it can take me. And put these things into your life, all the while just, keeping that bio-individuality and that specificity for you as a unique creature. For as different as we are on the outside is as different as we are on the inside, and what works for you will not work for me, and vice versa. We need to find that out, and life is like a science experiment, an uncontrolled science experiment. We have the availability to try different things, and we take them or we leave them. But with something in mind of saying, when I do this for the greater good of myself, and I use it to evolve, my personality, my social integrity, my relationships, my connection, my ability to love, my gratitude, my joy, my ability to let go of things that no longer serve me, not harboring on things. And it's really hard, I know it's very hard to not let tragedy or letdowns just sit with you, but they don't have to. There's all these theories, change takes 21 days, 42 days, 3 months. I believe change happens in an instant. In that moment where we change our mind, it happens in a split second. It is up to us to put in the work to adhere to those changes, should we see them beneficial for ourselves, our communities, our families, and our world. Otherwise, we fall back into patterns, because as human species, for a lot of us, not all of us, it's always easier not to. You just go along with the flow. Oftentimes finding yourself in a position where you're like, how did I end up here? I thought I was going so well. I lost track of things. I was just moseying along, and all of a sudden I've been here for 10 plus years and I hate this place, or I'm not facing adventures or challenges. This is not rules for everybody's life. This is some food for thought, something to think about. But I just wanted to share something really nice with you from a spectacular spot. I'm getting pretty sweaty here, so I'm going to go for a swim over there. Have a beautiful afternoon.